I am deeply sorry that we failed to fulfill our responsibility to our customers, to our team members, and to the American public. I am fully accountable. At Wells Fargo, we have new leadership in our retail banking business. Secondly, we recently announced the elimination of product sales goals. We now send out to all customers a confirmation email approximately 1 hour after opening a savings or checking account.
You broke the law. We make the law in Congress. This is not new stuff that all of a sudden Congress changed some rules. There's never in human history when that has been an ethical okay, right? So for you to say the culture is okay, this seems to me that you're just tone deaf.
Did you dump the stock after you found out about the fraudulent accounts? Because it seems that the timing is very, very suspicious and it raises serious questions.
I sold those shares and I sold them with proper approvals, with no view about anything that was going on with sales practices or anything else.
Well, it seems very, very suspicious that your largest sale was right after your $1.8 trillion bank was turned into a school for scoundrels.
Wells Fargo has given the entire financial service industry a black eye. Your responsibility. Yeah. Your bank, you, CEO, chairman, basically for me, was on top of what basically has been a criminal enterprise.
Congressman, if I could just respond for a second, please. There's no question we don't do everything right, and we've made mistakes. We're upping our game.
So who should pay for it? If you didn't do anything right, who's accountable for it?
We're going to make it right for every one of our customers.
Your VP made a $125 million bonus package. Your institution's making over $22 billion a year. Who is paying for it? Who's taking responsibility for it? Don't come tell me you're sorry.
We're taking care of every one of our customers who is impacted.
Well, you took 5,300 good Americans and turned them into felons with a system that you created, benefited from, and drove your stock price up by bragging about your levels of new accounts.
Congressman,
we know that
I disagree with that.
I'm not surprised.
Borrowing a customer's money without permission is not a sales practice violation. It's stealing. Using customers' social security numbers to open credit cards without their consent is not wrongful sales behavior. It is identity theft. So let's call it what it really is. Some of the most egregious fraud we have seen since the foreclosure crisis.
And while it is the regulator's job to prosecute the banking institutions that break the law, it is our job as members of Congress to prosecute the regulators who were in fact asleep at the wheel.
Wells Fargo illegally repossessed 413 service members' cars. Wells Fargo will pay $24 million to settle allegations that it mistreated members of the military, including illegally repossessing their cars. The bank, already reeling from a scandal over fake accounts, will pay $4.1 million to settle Justice Department charges that it seized 413 cars owned by service members without a court order, a violation of federal law. The Justice Department said the illegal repossessions took place from 2008 to 2015. The first complaint came from an Army National Guardsman in North Carolina who said the bank seized his car while he was preparing to deploy to Afghanistan. Wells Fargo then auctioned his car and tried to collect a balance of $10,000 from his family, the Justice Department said. The bank will pay $10,000 to each of the affected service members, plus lost equity in the cars with interest, and repair their credit. Related, Wells Fargo worker retaliation claims rile up Congress. The bank was fined $20 million more by the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency for breaking 3 provisions of the same law by denying members of the military certain banking protections, including capping their interest rates at 6%. Those violations began in 2006, the OCC said. Wells Fargo said in a statement that it apologizes for not living up to its commitment of ensuring that all service members receive the appropriate benefits and protections. We have been notifying and fully compensating customers and will complete this work in 60 days, the company said. Related, lawmakers say Wells Fargo is like a criminal enterprise. News of the penalties came as Wells Fargo and CEO John Stumpf faced the wrath of the House Financial Services Committee at a hearing about the millions of fake bank and credit card accounts, plus claims that it retaliated against whistleblowers. The company is also facing lawsuits from shareholders, former employees, and customers.
The committee will come to order.
Even facing the wrath of senators, John Stumpf never forgets his roots.
5,000's a big number.
It's bigger than my hometown. I do know that.
The CEO of the fourth most profitable company in the Fortune 500 grew up in Pierce, Minnesota, a town of less than 1,500 people. And he worked his way through the ranks at Wells Fargo, becoming CEO in 2007.
The president was very encouraging to us to do the right thing for the country.
He steered Wells Fargo through the fallout of the Great Recession, making what many describe as his best move to date.
His acquisition of Wachovia Bank was really an incredible achievement from two perspectives. Number one, Wachovia was bigger than Wells Fargo. And number two, Wachovia had an agreement already in place with Citigroup, and somehow Wells Fargo wound up with the company.
The merger more than doubled the bank's deposit base and helped lead to record profits.
We do business and lend money the old-fashioned way, responsibly and prudently.
In the wake of the crisis, Stumpf championed a community feel at the bank. Employees are always referred to as team members and branches as stores, a policy he personally policed.
6,000 and some branches around the country and
Stores.
so forth. Stores. I'll get it right.
Stumpf had another signature policy, selling multiple products to individual customers, or cross-selling. In this, the 2010 annual report, he writes, "I'm often asked why we set a cross-sell goal of 8. The answer is, it rhymed with great. Former employees have told CNN the pressure to meet that target was so intense that opening fake bank accounts became common practice."
It was the first time that light bulb went on.
Stumpf says he didn't know until 2013 that widespread fraud had been taking place.
But my belief is that he's not a very detail-oriented CEO. He's not, we'll say, the Jamie Dimon type at JP Morgan or the James Gorman type at Morgan Stanley. I think he works through individuals that he develops a great deal of trust in.
"Everything we do is built on trust," reads a quote from Stumpf on the company website. A trust he has now pledged to rebuild. Claire Sebastian, CNN Money, New York.
Berkshire Hathaway kingpin Warren Buffett was keeping mum on the Wells Fargo & Co. until now, given recent speculation on his opinion of the company. In fact, he went as far as to lambast a report that he is seeking a radical transformation. "It's dead wrong to imply I've spoken to the board directly. Going to the board implies I've gone around Wells Fargo CEO John Stumpf, the guy who is under fire," Buffett said to CNBC. "I've talked to no one else on the board." Buffett, who is arguably the best investor of all time, holds 320 million shares of WFC stock, or more than 6% of the company. So the man known as the Oracle of Omaha has a keen interest and significant influence in Wells Fargo in light of a scandal that has forced Wells Fargo to pay $185 million in settlement fees and an additional $5 million in customer remediation. Wells Fargo agreed to a settlement this month after it was disclosed that its employees created 2 million phony credit card and bank accounts for customers without their consent to boost sales figures and make more money. The bank fired 5,300 employees, but some members of Congress say Stumpf should also lose his job or face criminal charges. Douglas Cass of Seabreeze Partners Management wrote for The Street that Buffett called for a radical transformation of the bank's ethics, in no uncertain terms. But Buffett says he never went to the board. Further, Buffett's office confirmed to Reuters that he talked with Stumpf just once after the scandal came to light. According to Buffett, the talk lasted only 5 minutes, where Buffett said Stumpf might be facing a larger problem than anticipated, and let him know that the fines levied against Wells Fargo were not a metric to use in determining public reaction. Buffett previously had said that he wouldn't make any comments on the Wells Fargo situation until November. Stumpf did not give details, but said that he and Buffett talked about the scandal once when speaking Thursday at a House Financial Services Committee hearing. Stumpf also faced an onslaught from lawmakers at the hearing. Mr. Stumpf, I regrettably have a mortgage with your bank. I wish I didn't, Rep. Jeb Henserling, R. Texas, said at the hearing. If I was in a position to pay it off, I would, because you have broken my trust, and you have broken the trust of millions of others. WFC stock is down 18.38% on the year. The company has lost more than $20 billion in market value since the scandal broke.
CEO Warren Buffett denied reports that he is pressuring Wells Fargo to undergo a radical transformation. The rumor comes from Doug Cass, the former hedge fund portfolio manager who wrote on TheStreet.com that his sources told him Buffett is quietly trying to get the bank to change its ways after facing a federal investigation due to its fake bank account scandal. The rumor comes days after the billionaire publicly stated he will wait until after the presidential election before discussing his views on WFC and its current problems. A spokesman for Buffett told CNBC that Cass's blog post is untrue. However, Buffett did not give further comments about his position on WFC or if his firm plans to change their exposure to the bank or the retail banking sector. Cass is short Berkshire Hathaway and has repeatedly written critically of the firm. Buffett has held WFC shares for years. According to the firm's latest Securities and Exchange Commission filing, Berkshire Hathaway owns $21.6 billion in WFC stock or a stake worth nearly 10% of the bank. It is the firm's largest banking position and second largest position overall, just short of the bank's $29 billion position in Kraft Heinz, KHC. Warren Buffett recently looked to buy more WFC stock. In July, Buffett appealed to the Federal Reserve for permission to have a higher stake in WFC, according to Bloomberg. To own more than 10% of any company, Berkshire must first get regulatory approval. Since Buffett made the appeal, WFC shares have fallen over 4%, although the stock was up around 8% before the fake account scandal broke. Berkshire Hathaway has struggled to make a return on its WFC holdings in recent months. Since the firm's last purchase of WFC shares in October, the stock has fallen around 16%. During the same period, Berkshire has lost money on its investments in American Express, AXP, which is down about 12% year-over-year, and Goldman Sachs, GS, which is down about 5% year-over-year. However, its regional bank holdings, including U.S. Bancorp, USB, and Bank of New York Mellon, BK, are up modestly in the past year. Berkshire Hathaway shares are up 12.6% year-over-year despite a 2.8% decline in shares over the past month.